Hello, my name is Damoon Navarchi, and I chose to do a response for the debate question. As a U.S. foreign policy decision, the United States should or should not withdraw military from Afghanistan, and I chose to answer yes, the U.S. should withdraw from Afghanistan. So I wanted to start with the history a little bit. The U.S. invasion of Afghanistan occurred after the September 11 attacks in late 2001 and was supported by close U.S. allies, which had officially begun the War on Terror. The conflict is also known as the U.S. War in Afghanistan or the 2001 invasion of Afghanistan. Its public aims were to dismantle Al Qaeda and deny it as a safe base of operations in Afghanistan by removing the Taliban from power. The United Kingdom was a key ally of the U.S., offering support for military action from the start of preparations for the invasion. It followed the Afghan Civil War's 1996 to 2001 phase between the Taliban and Northern Alliance groups. Although the Taliban controlled 90% of the country by 2001, the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan became the first phase of the war in Afghanistan. U.S. President George W. Bush demanded that the Taliban hand over Osama bin Laden and expel al-Qaeda. Bin Laden had already been wanted by the FBI since 1998. The Taliban declined to extradite him unless given what they deemed convincing evidence of his involvement in the 9/11 attacks and ignored demands to shut down terrorist bases and hand over terrorist suspects apart from bin Laden. The request was dismissed by the U.S. as a meaningless delaying tactic, and it launched Operation Enduring Freedom on October 7, 2001, with the United Kingdom. The two were later joined by other forces, including the Northern Alliance troops on the ground. The U.S. and its allies rapidly drove the Taliban from power by December 17, 2001, and built military bases near major cities across the country. Most al-Qaeda and Taliban members were not captured, escaping to neighboring Pakistan or retreating to rural or remote mountainous regions during the Battle of Tora Bora. In December 2001, the United Nations Security Council established an International Security Assistance Force to oversee military operations in the country and train Afghan national security forces. At the Bonn Conference in December 2001, Hamid Karzai was selected to head the Afghan Interim Administration, which, after a 2002 Loya Jirga Grand Assembly in Kabul, became the Afghan Transitional Administration. In the popular elections of 2004, Karzai was elected president of the country, now named the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. In August 2003, NATO became involved as an alliance, taking the helm of ISAF. One portion of the U.S. forces in Afghanistan operated under NATO command. The rest remained under direct U.S. command. Taliban leader Mullah Omar reorganized the movement, and in 2002 it launched an insurgency against the government and ISAF that continues to this day. Here are some pictures I wanted to include of the war. And then in September, I wanted to talk about September 11 a little bit. So, on the morning of September 11, 2001, Al Qaeda carried out 4 coordinated attacks on the United States, employing 4 commercial passenger jet airliners that were hijacked. The hijackers, members of Al Qaeda's Hamburg cell, intentionally crashed 2 of the airliners into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. Both buildings collapsed within 2 hours from fire damage related to the crashes, destroying nearby buildings and damaging others. The hijackers crashed a 3rd airliner into the Pentagon in Arlington County, Virginia. The 4th plane crashed into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after some of its passengers and flight crew attempted to retake control of the plane, which the hijackers had redirected toward Washington, D.C., to target the White House, or the United States Capitol. No flights had survivors in total. 2,996 people died, including 19 hijackers, and more than 6,000 others were injured in the attacks. According to the New York State Health Department, 836 first responders, including firefighters and police personnel, had died as of June 2009. The war in Afghanistan is an ongoing war following the United States invasion of Afghanistan, when the United States and its allies successfully drove the Taliban from power in order to deny al-Qaeda's safe base of operations. After the initial objectives were completed, a coalition of over 40 countries, including all NATO members, formed the security mission in the country called International National Security Assistance Force. The war has mostly consisted of Taliban insurgents fighting against Afghan armed forces and allied forces. The majority of ISAF, RS soldiers, and personnel are American. The war is codenamed by the U.S. as Operation Enduring Freedom from 2001 to 2014 and Operation Freedom Sentinel 2015 to present. Why we should withdraw from the war. According to the Cost of the War project at Brown University, as of April 2021, the war has killed 171,000 to 174,000 people in Afghanistan. 47,000 were Afghan civilians, 66 to 69,000 were Afghan military and police, and at least 51,000 opposition fighters. However, the death toll is possibly higher due to the unaccounted deaths by disease, loss of access to food, water, infrastructure, and other or indirect consequences of the war. According to the UN, since the 2001 invasion, more than 5.7 million former refugees have returned to Afghanistan. However, as of 2021, 2.6 million Afghans remain refugees or have fled, mostly in Pakistan and Iran. And another 4 million Afghans remain internally displaced persons within the country. The cost of the war reportedly was a major factor as U.S. officials considered drawing down troops in 2011. The estimated average cost of deploying just one U.S. soldier in Afghanistan is over $1 million a year. In March 2019, the United States Department of Defense estimated fiscal obligations of $737,592 have incurred, expended during 2001 to 2018 in Afghanistan at a cost of $3,714 per taxpayer. However, Brown University research produced a higher figure of $975 billion to 2001 to 2019. For 2019, the United States Department of Defense requested approximately $46.3 billion for Operation Freedom Sentinel. We should withdraw because perpetuating U.S. military engagement in Afghanistan has become a strategic liability and a futile investment that lost the capacity to alter the basic political and military dynamics in Afghanistan. The U.S. military, financial, and diplomatic and leadership resources would be better spent on other issues. The U.S. primary objective in Afghanistan since 2001 has been to degrade the threat of terrorism against the United States and its allies. That basic goal was accomplished a decade ago. Al-Qaeda's capabilities are a fraction of what they used to be. Threats from China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and the coronavirus are more important priorities. The United States hasn't achieved its goal of defeating the Taliban. This war has been the second longest running war in the U.S. The corrupt political rocks of Afghanistan has not been swayed by American aid. So I believe these are the reasons why we should withdraw. Thank you for listening to my presentation.